What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the June 14th episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you are notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm just going to say it right off the bat. This was the best Dynamite ending ever. This was hands down the best Dynamite ending ever. Man, for the past month or so with AEW, even going back a little bit further, man, you could say, man, ever since the first Dynamite after WrestleMania, AEW has been doing some really cool things on Dynamite. There's several things that they've improved on, and there's still things to improve on. Again, this is a 4-year-old company. Um, me personally, I don't have the expectations for AEW um, that you would have for a company that's been 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ahead. There's still things that they need to learn, but for the most part, and what I've seen lately, man, they're really trending in a great direction. Um, Man, tonight's show from beginning to end, this was a fun, fast, action packed show. You can tell with this show that if you didn't see anybody on this show, more than likely you're going to see them on AEW Collision, and that card's going to be fantastic. Thankfully, I got my tickets. I'm going. Woohoo! You got Punk, FTR versus Samoa Joe, Juice Robinson, Jay White. Then you have Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue versus Tony Storm and Ruby Soho. There you go. We're also going to get Wardlow versus Luchasaurus for the TNT title. And we're going to see Miro in action at AEW Collision. And the match that I am looking forward to, granted, I'm looking forward to CM Punk, FTR, that whole thing. But man, this is the match that I am going to sit back and enjoy. Buddy Matthews versus Andrade El Idolo. Man, oh man, I believe they wrestled in NXT. I'm gonna go check YouTube and see if it's there or what have you. But man, whew, that's gonna be a great card. So tonight you can really sense a separation. Let me rephrase that: not a separation, a distinction. That this is what AEW Dynamite is going to feel like, and I'm really anticipating what AEW Collision is going to be like this Saturday. Um, Tonight, we had a video package from CM Punk. I'll get into that a little bit later, but there's several things that stood out for me that I liked on this show. One weird thing that for some reason, I don't know why I noticed. Maybe it's because I'm live tweeting while it happens or what have you. There was this big no graphic that showed up during Brian Cage, the Embassy versus Orange Cassidy, Sting, Darby, and Keith Lee. Apparently, it appeared during the Jack Perry, um, Sammy Guevara segment a few weeks ago. So I don't know what that is. If it's an error or is it alluding to something more? Don't know. Would be interesting if it does lead to that. But for the most part, man, this show was fun. This was a fun show, and I got to tell you, going back to, man, actually, this whole week of wrestling has been really good and really fun. Raw was good, NXT was good, and tonight, AEW Dynamite was good, and that's a really good thing with professional wrestling that you have these companies that are producing complementary alternative to the other promotion. So it's just like when you watch one program and you're like, all right, let me see what happens tomorrow. And it's like, oh man, this is really good. And then you watch the next one, oh man, this is really good. And then you watch the next, and it's just a streamline of consistent, fun wrestling programming for wrestling fans. And I'm enjoying it. So with that, I'm going to get into what I enjoyed about this episode of AEW Dynamite. Right off the bat, MJF, Adam Cole. Wow, oh wow. This was a fantastic match. MJF man, he is sneaky. There was a spot where he went into the crowd and he started arguing with a fan or maybe a plant. I don't know. Maybe after this recording, um, I'll find out if that was a plant or if that was a fan. Several instances where MJF has kind of towed that line of, okay, you can argue with the fan, but you might want to be mindful that you don't want to go too far. Knocked his hat off and everything, but man, this match, the selling, Adam Cole's knee, MJF's knee on the outside when he did the was it the tombstone on the apron. Um, the highlight of the match was for me was MJF doing the elbow drop from the top turnbuckle onto the timekeeper's table, and Adam Cole his wrist, and Adam Cole barely making it into the 10 count, and just a near fall, and Orange Cassidy having a diamond ring, and he's about to punch him, and the ref. That was that was cool. That was cool. I know AEW refs, they get some slack and everything from fans and everything, but that was so cool and so like on point by Bryce Rimberg to just like I've never seen that before in a match where the ref sensed that the other wrestler was cheating and he turned around, stopped him. Um, that was really cool. Adam Cole got the upper hand as soon as he pinned him. And this was one of the most genius things and most creative things I've seen. That halfway through the match, for me, I was so focused on MJF cheating, getting something underneath the ring, and just him being so sneaky and cunning and all that. And probably most of you guys who were watching this review felt that way, that it slipped my mind that there was a time limit. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot there was a time limit. Adam Cole, 1, 2, and then the bell rings before the 3 count. And Justin Roberts gets on the mic and he tells, time limit draw. I was like, what? That was such a creative way to end that match. More than likely, we're probably going to get 2 more matches out of this. Man, I don't see how, after this match, I don't see how you can have MJF be champion after, if they go 2 more matches. I really don't see it. Adam Cole, he's got the crowd behind him. It's just, man, I don't know. It's there. I don't know if AEW is going to pull the switch on the title, giving it to Adam Cole. But man, Adam Cole just has that momentum. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. And I know people in Twitter and social media, oh, this was a stupid ending. Man, if you grew up in the mid to late 80s, Jim Crockett Promotions was notorious for doing this with Ric Flair and his championship matches on television. Oh my God. Clash of the Champions, World Championship Wrestling, the show, not the organization, which it eventually became. They were notorious for doing this. And I thought it was a really cool callback because it reminded me of those matches when Ric Flair was like, oh man, he's going to win. And the stupid time limit. What the heck? It's like, man, that was so cool. I like that. Really cool. And then after the match, Cole asks MJF, you know what? I want 5 more minutes. MJF looks at him in the corner, grabs the belt, and just walks away. So I love this match. This was for me, it was match of the night until the main event, which I'm like, man, this is crazy. And I'll get into that a little bit later. Then we get the CM Punk video package, and from what we saw since it was announced that CM Punk was going to go to or return at AEW Collision, it's just been more clips of him in AEW, but we never really heard from CM Punk. And in this video package, he actually spoke, and man, he spoke some things that after this review, I'm gonna go back and watch again. Um, See if there's anything I missed, because man, this was a very punctual CM Punk, a very it's since very determined, motivated CM Punk. I'm really excited to see what happens this Saturday at Collision with FTR and CM Punk versus Juice Robinson, Jay White, and Samoa Joe. There's a lot of questions and speculation happening or surrounding that match. Is Kenta going to show up? Are we going to get something teasing Forbidden Door? Is Samoa Joe going to join Bullet Club Gold? What was the other thing I heard? Are the Gun Club going to show up at Collision and, officially join Bullet Club? And one of the things I've seen on, I believe it was Twitter and Facebook, one of the things I've seen, and this is pretty wild, mind you, this isn't something that's going to happen. This is just someone's speculation. What if CM Punk turns on FTR and joins Bullet Club Gold? That's very far-fetched, but knowing AEW, I don't put it past them that they might do that. That might be something, but I don't see it happening, so I'm really excited for that. But the key things that CM Punk said in this video that stood out to me, and I'm going to watch it again, like I said, I'm going to watch it again to see if there's anything that I missed. But man, he mentioned the only thing certain about CM Punk is nothing is certain. Call back to Rowdy Piper. There's still things left to do. I don't know what I will say or do. I have a lot of things to get off my chest, and I have old scores to settle. So we shall see what's going to transpire. Like I mentioned before at the beginning of this card looks really good for AEW Collision. Just interested to see the vibe, the setting, the tone that goes with this. I will be attending. Man, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to that card. So let's see what happens with CM Punk. Of course, the big speculation with CM Punk is that he's eventually going to turn heel, which, if he's going to turn heel, is it going to be against FTR or with FTR? That's going to be really cool. I think we might get something similar to, if it goes that way, with CM Punk and FTR turning heel. I do believe we might get something similar to the Hart Foundation versus Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels back in 1997 when you had the Canada-USA war. I think we might get something similar to that in AEW. And for me personally, that was one of my favorite feuds in WWF in 1997. That whole Canada USA, like, that was so cool and so creative. I enjoyed that. But we got to see what happens Saturday to see where this goes with CM Punk and FTR. Another thing on this show was the Sting Jericho face-off. This was the first time that these two were in the ring. Mind you, they've been in the same company, WCW, WWE for that brief period, AEW, but this was the first time that they faced off. And of course, we might get something at Forbidden Door, Sting and Darby and someone else from New Japan versus, Jericho and someone else from New Japan. That should be really cool. Of course, this was the battle of, what the hell's Jericho's name for his bat? Who cares? So it was Jericho's bat and Sting's bat, and they were doing that whole thing. But a really cool moment to happen. This was one of those, like, oh man, this is really cool. That kind of like slowed the pace down for Dynamite, because this was a fast-paced, full of action show. Like, it was just nonstop. From there, we had a couple challenges for Forbidden Door, and we had a somewhat challenge matchup next week for Dynamite. We had Orange Cassidy being confronted by Zack Sabre Jr., Garcia interferes. That basically sets up Orange Cassidy and Shibata versus Zack Sabre Jr. and Daniel Garcia next week on Dynamite. I believe Dynamite next week will be in Chicago at the Wintrust Arena. That's going to be very interesting, man. That's going to be a really cool match. So that was one of the, you could say, teases for Forbidden Door. Are we going to get Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr.? We shall see. It's going to be from there. Excuse me, guys. So the other thing we had Sonata issue an open challenge for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Later on, we had a backstage segment with Jack Perry and Hook. I did not expect Jack Perry to answer that challenge. I thought it was going to be, yeah, we're going to go after, the tag team titles, or we're going to something like that. And Hook's holding the title, and I'm like, oh man, okay, Hook's got the title, blah blah blah. And Jack Perry's like, I feel like I'm missing something with him holding gold. And Sonata, I'm gonna challenge you. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Jack Perry's challenging the IWGP World Champion Sonata, so we're getting that at Forbidden Door. That should be really fun. Man, this Forbidden Door card looks very fun, man. Of course, you got Danielson, Omega, possibly Punk on this Forbidden Door card, which unfortunately we didn't have last year. It was still a fun card. I went to that Forbidden Door, so pretty interested to see what's gonna happen with Jack Perry. It did seem like Jack Perry is in the process of turning heel. I'm not gonna say he's already doing it, but he's in the process. Watching his mannerisms and how he was talking to Hook, it was similar to when Christian was hyping up Edge when Edge won the King of the Ring and Christian eventually turned on him and everything. So yeah, it looks like we're in the process of Jack Perry turning heel. From there, we had Hiroshi Tanahashi with a video message issuing a challenge to MJF. And MJF fashion, Renee Paquette goes into the trainer's room after MJF's match against Adam Cole. He's like, Tanahashi, nope, not happening. And if Tony Khan makes me, tries to force me or make me wrestle this match, it's not the first time I didn't no-show. So we got that whole no-show thing, but as it stands, we got Hiroshi Tanahashi versus MJF for the AEW World title. If that match happens, that's going to be a really fun match, man. Hiroshi Tanahashi, I've watched him several times live, man. It is a treasure and a treat, man. So, got those two matches for Forbidden Door. And, of course, possibility of Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door. Title for title. That would be kind of interesting if Orange Cassidy won the New Japan Pro Wrestling Television Championship. That would be interesting, but then it would, where would it go? Like, is he eventually going to drop the title to someone? I don't know. We'll see. Now, to my most favorite part of this episode of Dynamite. And man, oh man, this was a doozy. Ooh boy. This was fun, entertaining, exciting. Mind you, that was the match. After the match, oh my goodness. Like I said, this was, quite honestly, the best ending to an AEW Dynamite ever. Okay, so I'm not going to rehash this match and everything because it was basically back and forth. The Young Bucks and Hangman Page versus Moxley, Yuta, and Claudio. The Young Bucks and Hangman Page, this was like they pulled something out of 2019 when they were wrestling those Dynamites early, the first Dynamites early on. Like, it looked like they traveled back in time. They were into it. This crowd was into it. This whole night, this Washington crowd, which was the same arena as the first AEW Dynamite, which aired. And this crowd just set the tone. Now that I think about it, the way this show played out, it felt like this was, I don't want to say a reboot or a restart, but it felt like the way the first Dynamite kicked off, like, okay, this is what Dynamite's going to be. All right, this is going to be fun. It just felt like this show, um, heading into AEW Collision, is it's like AEW's reestablishing, like, hey, this is what Dynamite's going to be. The card on Rampage is going to be freaking fantastic. So it's like they're like reestablishing, like, hey, this is what AEW is. This is what we're going to do. Dynamite's this, Rampage this, and we'll see what's going AEW Collision is going to be. But after the match, the Elite win. But then the post match, they get attacked by Yuta, Moxley, and Claudio. They're just beating them down. Music hits. Eddie Kingston comes out. Yes, Eddie Kingston has returned. That crowd, man, went wild. And if you go back and watch, you just see when his music hits, this crowd is just jumping up and down. He gets in there. He goes straight after Claudio. He starts beating him up. Moxley gets in the ring. And then you get Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley face off. Ooh, man. The history between them. Man, oh man. Now, the last time I believe Kingston was on AEW TV, the Blackpool Combat Club may have been in the beginning stages of turning heel. So you have that history, where that's going to go with Kingston and Moxley. Of course, the typical thing, Moxley's going to side with Blackpool Combat Club. Also, are the Elite going to side with Eddie Kingston? Because during this whole brawl and stuff like that, the Elite wanted to attack Moxley. Kingston didn't prevent it. Then Yuta and Claudio, they start attacking Kingston and everything. Or actually, no, I got that wrong. They did that a little bit after. Takeshita comes in and attacks Eddie Kingston. He just starts beating him up. Omega gets in the ring. He starts hitting Takeshita, knocks him out of the ring. He's about to do dive over the rope. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, no music or anything, Will Ospreay comes to the ring. He attacks Omega, hits his move and everything, signals and everything. That was a wild ending. And by wild, a very entertaining, spontaneous, and chaotic ending to a Dynamite. You saw Eddie Kingston return. You saw the face-off between Eddie Kingston and Moxley. So there's a seed planted of, okay, there's still some unfinished business there. You had Takeshita attack Eddie Kingston. So now you possibly have a match on Dynamite next week. Then you have Omega brawling with Takeshita, which is still adding to that feud, which eventually that's going to lead to a match on some Dynamite or what have you. Even a Collision. We don't know. And then you had Ospreay and Omega just adding to the match that will happen at Forbidden Door. So, man, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff happening on this show. The Rampage card, Tony Khan tweeted out, you got Takeshita versus Bandito. Then you have Chaos, which is Best Friends, and Rocky Romero versus the United Empire. Man, what a time to be a wrestling fan. Like I said at the beginning of this review, Raw, I enjoyed it. NXT, I enjoyed it. Dynamite, I enjoyed it. Then you have Impact, Ring of Honor. I know MLW has a show tomorrow. Then you have SmackDown, Rampage, and then Collision. Like, man, we're getting such good wrestling. And not to mention the other wrestling promotions that are having their shows and stuff like that are clicking and everything. Stardom, AAA, CMLL. Like, just wrestling as a whole is thriving, man. And this show, man, this was a fun show. I enjoyed it. If you missed this show, find a way to watch this show. You will not be disappointed. Man, I love this show. My match of the night was the Blackpool Combat Club, Young Bucks, and Hangman Page. Like I said, originally, initially, it was MJF versus Adam Cole, and I'm like, you know what? The whole night, it's like, you know what? That's the match of the night. But that main event and then the aftermath, I'm like, man, this was the icing on the cake, man. So looking forward to Collision and what happens. I definitely want to see Rampage. Man, this is fun. AEW has turned the corner as far as giving the fans something fun, entertaining, spontaneous, and I want to emphasize this, a complementary alternative to what the WWE is doing. And WWE is doing some hot stuff, man. Their tickets are selling and everything. You got, the Roman bloodline, Seth Rollins, NXT whole thing that's happening, the new titles, like it's just hot over there, and this is a nice complementary alternative to WWE. And man, I'm enjoying it, man. So if you haven't watched this episode, please watch it. Um, like I said, I'm interested to see where MJF and Adam Cole go next. I believe it's going to be like two more matches. Um, the Forbidden Door, where that's going to go. CM Punk, FTR, Collision, how that's going to play out. I do feel there's going to be a surprise, maybe two at Collision. I may be wrong, but then again, it does seem like it. And the Blackpool Combat Club Young Bucks match. Where is Eddie Kingston live? What's Moxley going to do with Eddie Kingston? Because Moxley prevented people from attacking Kingston. So what's going to happen there? Takeshita, Eddie Kingston, Omega, Takeshita, Osprey, Omega. Oh, man, that was such beauty, man. This was good. And like I said, man, that ending, that was the best ending to an AEW Dynamite ever, in my opinion. So that is my review for this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, the June 14th episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you are notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.